Okay.
yes.
So for the benefit of those who are watching and listening, now this is a good nugget of information for you. Jeff, would you like to would you take this one, please? What is E plus R equals to O?
Oh, okay. E plus R equals to O. E refers to event, right? Event. And then R equals to response. And it will then eventually leads to an outcome. So what we have learned back then, even until now that I really, really appreciate this, is a learning. So what's being described is event is something that we cannot control. Something that we cannot control. While response is something that we can react based on the situation, knowing what outcome that you want. So putting 100% based on the outcome. Event only plays up to 5% of it, because something that we cannot control. But 95% of it, which is the response that we're going to have, it will detect most of the outcome. The outcome could be different. Yes, it could be slightly different because of the event that happened. But at least it's near. It's not so far away from the initial outcome that you really want. So the important thing is on the 95% of the outcome. So E plus R equals to O. But if there's anyone who put 95% on the E, and then your response is only 5%, you'll notice that these people will just do something and then they mention, nah, it cannot be done. Because they blame the situation. They are in the victim mode. This is something which I believe you may remember also. They're in the victim mode, where they are helpless, they couldn't do much. They could only complain. They blame everyone else except for themselves for not doing anything.
Right.
So this is something that I've learned back then, even until now, that E plus R equals to O is one of the important success principles that I've learned in the first training company that until now that I remember.
Right.
I may not share it with the people on the ground, but it's something that I would use another way to tell them that, you know what, we have no choice. That's something I put it across. This thing happens, we have no choice. Why not? We do something that we can do.
Correct. Yeah. You can't change the event, but I think the like what we were talking about was that the real power shift comes in knowing that your response is your choice.
Yes.
You choose your own response. You can choose to get
angry. And choices have
consequences. Thank you very much. I've been telling my son this for the longest time already.